Why do countries deforest? Well, you see, the reason countries deforest is often for three big reasons: money, jobs, and resources. Cutting down large patches of forest allows companies to have more space to plant crops, roads, and infrastructure. With more crops and infrastructure, companies and businesses can make more money and give more people job opportunities. Then, with all the wood they have accumulated, they can sell it off for housing and many other wood-based products or use them for biofuel, giving them more cash flow, supposing they didn't burn down the trees in the process. So really, in the eyes of the corporately driven people, they're doing the economy a favor. What they seem to not realize is that forests are not infinite resources. In the span of 50 years, rainforests have gone from covering 15% of the globe to a mere 6%. Some experts predict that, at this rate, we'll have consumed all of the remaining resources in just 40 years. In recent years, the U.S. National Cancer Institution have been finding some elements of what they call anti-cancer characteristics in roughly 5% of the flora and 0.1% in the fauna. And to top it all off, it seems to be getting worse for the sake of the forests. More than 78 million acres of forest are lost every year, which equates to 15 billion trees lost every year. And while some businesses do put forth efforts to replanting trees, an estimate of only 5 billion get planted every year. The Amazon rainforest, one of the largest in the world, contains a tenth of the Earth's non-aquatic species and a fourth of all the world's carbon. With countries using companies to mass deforest places like these, Indonesia and Brazil being two of the highest deforesters for the area, surrounding climates are going severely change. Most of the water in the Amazon is circulated through it by the forest. With less forest, the water is going to travel to the surrounding areas. This could cause drought in the Amazon, potential flooding, and overhydration in surrounding areas. But why is this important? Well, CO2 is released when fossil fuels are burned, bodies decompose, and with respiration in most organisms. This CO2 traps the heat from escaping the atmosphere, thus increasing the global temperature of the planet. Trees absorb CO2 and release oxygen to function, thus decrease the overall CO2 levels. They store high amounts of carbon within them and in their soil in the surrounding ground. Thanks to recent deforestation rates, more than 6 billion tons of carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere each year. If CO2 were not regulated by trees, the global temperature would not be able to maintain itself to support life for very long. Without trees, there would not be regulation of water in the soil, creating droughts. Soil would not be protected by trees regulating the chemical inflow, creating lifeless soil for crops. All forms of tree-based products will be unable to be produced. The problem that is most directly connected to human beings is that oxygen will decrease to unstable levels, ridding us of our very breath. Well, how do we fix deforestation? Quite simple actually. Firstly, cut down on tree-based products. Instead of using paper, use some of the ample amounts of technology to write whatever you are going to write. This can help in the simplest way of supply and demand. If consumers reduce the consumption of wood-based products, suppliers will reduce how much they gather. Secondly, recycle and buy recycled products. This will promote using already made products so that products are then in rotation instead of being used and discarded. Thirdly, fight for more protection of forests, national parks, and land reserves. If more people are openly upset about forests being destroyed, more people will go against it. When more people are against deforestation, companies will receive more backlash from the populace. And finally, plant trees. Even if all of these previous steps fail, nothing will affect the number of trees than directly planting more trees. And if all of these steps succeed, more trees are not going to hurt the environment in the slightest. But, the most important question of all, why don't we care? That question cannot be answered with some comical pictures and well-worded commentary. We have to figure that out ourselves. And hopefully, soon, we won't ask why we don't care, but why we didn't care.
created using Powtoon.